Hello guys, welcome to 2025 and also welcome to the channel. My name's Emily and on this channel we talk about all things bookish, sometimes college life, sometimes some vacation vlogs, and today I want to talk about all the books that I'm so excited to read for 2025. I was about to say I was excited for 2025. I think I'm more apprehensive for 2025. There is just so many things happening in 2025 and I just want life to kind of slow down a little bit, but I am very excited for all the books that I want to read in 2025. There are some that are new to me. So a lot of these aren't just like books that are coming out in 2025, but books that have been out for years that I genuinely just haven't gotten to yet and I can't wait to read. So the first book is actually a series that my boyfriend got me for Christmas, The Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I read The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes and I loved it. I gave it to my boyfriend to read, and so it makes sense that he got me this series for Christmas. All I really know about it is that the FBI kind of gets together a bunch of different teenagers that have different gifts to help them solve cold cases. And this series follows a girl named Cassie who is natural at reading people, piecing together the tiniest details. She can tell you who you are and what you want, but it's not a skill that she's ever taken seriously, that is, until the FBI came knocking. They begun a classified program that uses exceptional teenagers to crack infamous cold cases, and they need Cassie. I don't know if just the first book follows Cassie. I can't remember if people told me that some of them follow different like POVs, but I am assuming that since The Inheritance Game, every single book had a different like mystery and puzzle that they needed to solve, that each book follows a different case. I actually really don't know, but I've heard great things about it. So this is definitely a series that I'm going to be prioritizing. I'm probably going to read the first one very, very soon in January because I'm so excited about it. Okay, the next one is very obvious. It is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This one, of course, is already out. However, Onyx Storm, I believe, is the third book. It's not out yet, I'm pretty sure. And I am so excited to continue this series. If you've seen my favorite books of 2025, I loved Fourth Wing. I read it twice in 1 year, so I can jump right into Iron Flame in January. I literally loved Fourth Wing. If you don't know what the series is about, it's about a girl named Violet Sorrengail, and she lives in a world, I always say that it is a mix of Divergent and How to Train Your Dragon, and she lives in that world where there's different quadrants. And so she was trained as a scribe, but because her father and her brother died, her mother really wants her to become a dragon rider. So in there, she faces a lot of trials. There's a amazing romance, enemies to lovers, between Xaden and Violet. Xaden doesn't like Violet because Violet's mom killed his family, and so there's lots of tension, and then at the end there's a plot twist in Fourth Wing there's just a lot of things unsaid between Xaden and Violet and maybe a family member, and there's just a lot going on, and I'll leave it at that. But I cannot wait. People have said that Iron Flame is even better than Fourth Wing, which is very hard to live up to, but I don't know where Rebecca Yarros is taking this, and I'm excited to find out. Okay, next up is a book that I don't have with me. It is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. If you know anything about me and you've seen my 2024 favorites of the year, I had 3 books by Ali Hazelwood on that list. I am obsessed with Ali Hazelwood. She's my favorite adult romance author of all time. I'm obsessed with her. She writes a lot of STEM romances. This one is about an Olympic swimmer, I believe. Or wait, no. Oh my gosh, what are they called? Like where they jump off of the diving board. Divers. An Olympic diver. I honestly don't know too much about this book, but I have really high expectations. However, the last book by Ali Hazelwood that she came out with, Not in Love, I did not love it. I was not in love with it. Not in love with it. It was actually on my least favorite books of 2024, which is crazy to me because every single book that I've read by Ali Hazelwood, except for that book, I really love. So I'm a little scared to get back into Ali Hazelwood and her world, but I still have a lot of trust in her. You know, you can't love every single work that an author has ever done. But coming off of the 2024 Olympics and then Dancing with the Stars with Steven and Alona, I am really excited to see a romance surrounding somebody in the Olympic family. So yeah. Continuing with romance, The X-Files by Jessica Joy. I have not read anything by Jessica Joy, and I've heard clearly every single thing on this list I've heard amazing things about. I'm gonna say it 10 billion times, but Jessica Joy, I've heard so many good things about, not just this book, but her in general, her writing in general, her books in general, everything about her. I've heard amazing things. I'm also a big sucker for second chance romances, which is what this is. It's set in Napa Valley, has some lists about Eli, and basically they're going to her best friend's wedding, and she's the best woman, he's the best man, and she has a list of do's and don'ts of what not to get involved with him, what to do, what not to do, and apparently he comes back from New York City and is just like, I don't know, has a bad boy behavior. and wants to bend all of her rules. People really love this book. I'm not the biggest fan of small town romances. I've read a fair share and I just realized maybe they're not my favorite, but with the amount of praise this book is getting, I really am excited to read it. I think it's gonna be one of the next romances I read. And also, if I love it, I'm gonna be buying every single one of Jessica Joyce's books because everyone says every single book of hers is just phenomenal. Moving on to a sci-fi that everybody loves, Red Rising. I am not a sci-fi girly. I barely read sci-fi. It's my least favorite genre. I just find it very hard to get into. And that is why when my boyfriend bought this for me, I think 2 birthdays ago, I still have not read it at all. And the thing is, everyone loves it. Every single person loves it, even if they're into sci-fi, if they're not into sci-fi. And he bought me the entire series. So I do need to and want to get into it. I kind of don't know what it's about. So reading the back to you, the Earth is dying. Darrow is a red, a miner in the interior of Mars. Ooh. Kind of fun. His mission is to extract enough precious elements to one day tame the surface of the planet and allow humans to live on it. The Reds are humanity's last hope. Or so it appears, until the day Darrow discovers it's all a lie, that Mars has been habitable and inhabitable for generations, by a class of people calling themselves the Gold. A class of people who look down at Darrow and his fellows as slave laborers, to be exploited and worked to death without a second thought, until the day Darrow, with the help of a mysterious group of rebels, disguises themselves as Golds and infiltrates their command schools, intent to taking down his oppressors from the inside. The command schools is a battlefield, and Darrow isn't the only student with an agenda. Wait, why does that sound real? I know this is all my most anticipated of 2025. I know that, and I was excited to read this. I need to read this in 2025. It's like a need, it's a must. I have to. And I've read the back of this book about 5 different times, and every time I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so good, right after I read it. And each time I keep forgetting about it, and then I come back, I read the back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just phenomenal. I have to read it. And I also want to read it because I want to recommend it to my boyfriend afterward. He loves sci-fi, like Dune is like his favorite book. I think he would love this, but I just need to actually read it to recommend it. So I gotta read it soon. Somebody keep me accountable on this. Seriously, keep me accountable. Going back to romance, Emily Henry's Happy Place. I have not read this yet because I was waiting to get it in paperback. And so with the release of her last book, which is only in hardcover, I got this book and I still haven't read it because I don't know. I really don't know why I haven't read it. Some people say that this is their favorite Emily Henry book of all time. Mine is still very much beach read, but I know it's about a girl named Harriet and a guy named Wynn, and they've been the perfect couple since college, but they've broken up, but now they're going to like, I guess, a final group gathering with all their friends. They're growing older, they're in their 20s, and they're all figuring out their own life. So they're pretending like they're still dating. And again, I said this with the X-Files, I love a reconnecting second chance romance. I think it's so, and I love when people like not fall out of love, but like have differences and then they finally like, they're like, no, you're my person. But people say that this is such a great book for your 20s, finding yourself, figuring out who you are, especially with another person. So being in my 20s, I very much am excited to read it, but I'm also just scared. Some people say that they cried in this book. And I'm like, is it that serious? Is it really is a bright neon pink book that serious? So we will see how that goes. I should have organized these by like genre or something, because now we're on to fantasy. Nightbane by Alex Astor. I really loved Light Lark when I read it in 2024. I really enjoyed it. I thought there's a love triangle in there, and I see on TikTok all the time that everybody's obsessed with Grimm, and I love Oro. I'm like, what is going on? Why am I on the other side of the love triangle? So for something to have such a tight love triangle, I'm a love triangle fanatic. I know people hate love triangles. I love them. So I'm very excited to continue with this series. I'm gonna try to tell you what this book is about, but I really don't know, and I've read it. Basically, there's these different islands, and each of them has like a different ruler, and her name, Isla Crown, or Isla, I don't know. She is the ruler of like this very flowery one, and you eat hearts, and you like eat the heart of your lover or something, but she has never done that. And she also doesn't have any of those powers. And so she's kind of losing the life source for her island, and so her people are dying. So there's this thing every 100 years. There's like these trials type of things, and there's different people, and there's a love triangle, literally with the sun, which is Oro, the big guy, and then Grimm, who is literally like a nightmare. Complete opposites, going to this girl, she's badass, but she's also very like feminine, and I loved that about her. That was one of the most crappiest ways to tell you about a book. But the character development in this book and the character interactions in this book are one of my favorites in a fantasy novel. And people keep talking about Grimm, and this being Nightbane, I'm assuming this is going to be the book where Grimm shines, her love interest. But I'm a big fan of Oro, her other love interest. So we will see. I'm excited. I think it's only going to be a trilogy. So, oh my gosh, so many people. Chloe Gong, Marie Lu, Adam Silvera, Sabatir, all commented how much they love this book. That's crazy. Excited to finally get back into this story, and again, we'll be reading all of these I want to read soon. Going on to a literary fiction, Homegoing by Yak Gyasi. This book, my aunt loves, raves about it, and Yak Gyasi, I was obsessed with her book, Transcendent Kingdom. Obsessed with it. I cried in it. I felt so connected to it. So I don't know why I haven't picked up this book yet. It's in Ghana, 18th century. I'm going to read the back to you because I feel like it really explains perfectly what the book is about. Two half-sisters are born into different villages, each unaware of each other. One will marry an Englishman and lead a life of comfort in the palatial rooms, okay, maybe I can't read the back, of Cape Coast Castle. The other will be captured in a raid on her village, imprisoned in the very same castle, and sold into slavery. Homegoing follows the parallel paths of these sisters and their descendants through 8 generations, from the Gold Coast to the plantations of Mississippi, from the American Civil War to Jazz Age Harlem. Yak Gyasi's extraordinary novel illuminates slavery's troubled legacy both for those who were taken and those who stayed, and shows how the memory of captivity has been inscribed on the souls of our nation. Doesn't that sound just amazing? I think I'm gonna make this one a priority because I want to talk to my aunt about it and just have like a little book discussion, but very excited for Homegoing. Also very excited for The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I at least want to read, okay, this sounds so bad, but I at least want to read one classic a year. This sounds like I should be reading a little bit more. I read Persuasion by Jane Austen. Did I read that last year or did I read that in 2023? I think I read Persuasion in 2023. Okay, wait, but I read Of Mice and Men in 2024. Okay. I've stuck to my one classic a year thing. Of course, I want to read more than one classic a year, but I need to set the bar low so that if I exceed it, I feel very proud of myself. But The Picture of Dorian Gray is a fan favorite. Everybody loves this book. I know a little bit about it, but I just feel like I wouldn't do justice telling you about it. I was gonna read to you the back, but actually instead, I found this whole entire story about how like this novel was published in 1890, and basically the magazine's editor deleted roughly 500 words without his knowing. Anyway, basically it's about a guy, oh my gosh, I'm gonna literally butcher this, but basically he paints a picture of himself and then starts seeing things in it and he kind of goes crazy. I think that's the premise. I know that's such a bad summary of the book. So if you know anything about it and you've read it and you're like, girl, you don't even know what you're talking about, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I am very excited to read the book. This was also a gift from my friend Maddie from Ria's Pages on Instagram. So definitely go look at her page. She's a stunning artist. She does a lot of book drawings and it's so pretty. So definitely go check it out. But she gifted this to me and it's stunning as well, just like her artwork. So check her out. I'm gonna check this book out and I'm very excited. Okay, last up, another book that I wanna read because of my aunt, 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. The reason is because my aunt hasn't read this book, but I've had this book on my shelves for years. And so when we went to a bookstore, I've heard so many good things about it that I was like, you have to get it. So I want to read it so that she can read it and we can again talk about it. But it's a romance, it's a second chance romance. However, it's not a fluffy adult, just like spicy book. It's a little bit more than that. I think it's like a literary fiction. Jodi Picoult, is that how you say her name? Has talked about it, which is again another literary fiction type of author. I'm gonna read the cover for you. So it is Ava Mercy is a single mom and best-selling writer who is feeling press from all sides. Shane Hall is a reclusive, enigmatic, award-winning novelist who, to everyone's surprise, shows up in New York. When Shane and Ava meet unexpectedly at a literary event, sparks fly, raising not only their buried traumas, but the eyebrows of the Black literati. Can I just not read? What no one knows is that 15 years earlier, teenage Ava and Shane spent one crazy toured week madly in love. While they may be pretending not to know each other, they can't deny their chemistry. I can't read. Or the fact that they've been secretly writing to each other in their books throughout the years. Wait, That sounds phenomenal, actually. Over the next 7 days, amidst the steamy Brooklyn summer, Ava and Shane reconnect. Also, I love New York City. Love New York City. So the fact that it's set in New York and Brooklyn, love it. But Ava's wary of the man who broke her heart and wants him out of the city so her life can return to normal. Before Shane disappears, though, she needs a few questions answered. Basically, a lot of this book is kind of an exploration of being a mother and a daughter and a Black person in America, and of course, with the romance tied in, and I am very excited to read it, but mostly I'm very excited to read it and talk to my aunt about it. It's honestly not too long. People love this book. And again, the reason that I want to read all of these books because people are obsessed with it, but I've never heard anybody say one bad thing about this book, ever. So, I'm excited. Hopefully it's good so that I go to her and be like, you need to read this right now, like right now. But those are all the books that I want to read in 2025. I'm so excited for these books. I'm highly anticipating reading all of these books. There are some that are coming out like Onyx and Storm. Onyx and Storm, or is it Onyx Storm? I don't remember. Or Deep Dive by Ali Hazelwood, and Jessica Joyce's books that she has released and will be releasing. But I'm also very excited for all the books that I've had on my shelves for years. But let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you think. Also, tell me what books that you're excited to read in 2025. And yeah, please subscribe, comment down below, do whatever you want to do, and goodbye.